Join the Rotary Club of Neepawa for Rotary Presents, a twice-monthly presentation and Q&A with a different guest about topics at the heart of Neepawa.
All right, without further ado, I believe I'm going to introduce Wayne as our speaker today.
What?
Aren't you speaking? Wayne. Last night was a presentation to the town, and I wasn't there, so maybe you were, maybe you weren't, but Wayne has a presentation for us.
I don't have a lot of these, so last night we held a community forum, and we being a committee that is exploring the possibility of a new, I'm going to call it an event center as opposed to a new arena. We hope it's going to be multi-purpose. And how this committee came about was as a result of the audit done on the Yellowhead Center in January of 2023, sponsored by the town of Neepawa and paid for by the province. Deloitte Touche Management Group audited us. And one of the recommendations that they came up with was that we had a lack of a strategic plan, either in the short term and certainly in the long term. So based on that recommendation, the Yellowhead board made the decision to reach out to the golf course and the curling rink to see if there was an interest in pursuing something that may encompass all three clubs. And from there, we presented to all four municipal authorities, the town of Neepawa and the three RMs. And very pleased to say that they all came on board. So that is the composition of the current committee. 2 from the golf course, 2 from the curling rink, 2 from the Yellowhead, and 1 representative from each of the 4 municipalities, authorities. So we've met probably over the last year, just to start talking about what would this look like, what would be available, and through that process, we were able to identify 4 locations. That really was the purpose of last night, to present that. Oh yeah, oh, you know what, I'm too busy talking.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so I don't really want to go through the things to think about, location, costs, hurdles to overcome. I don't want to get marred down in the details, but I do want to make a comment about what happened last night. And of course, when anyone does an open public forum, you don't know whether 20 people are going to show up or 200. And we had 176 seats set out, and it was by far fuller than empty. So I'm gonna say, I didn't count, but well over 100 residents of the area showed up.
I counted and there was over 100.
Thank you. And just in a general comment before I sort of talk about what we presented, is it turned out, I think, even better than what I had hoped. With respect to representation from the older generation and the younger people within our community. And I think that's really crucial. We really tried to emphasize that this is a regional initiative. It's not the town of Neepawa, because for all 3 of our current facilities, our users are, the majority are from outside the town of Neepawa than inside the town of Neepawa. So we're really trying to emphasize this initiative is regional. We also received a lot of feedback, a lot of comments, both during the forum and then chit-chatting afterwards, that gave us a sense of what kind of direction, but maybe some of the things we need to give a look at that we didn't in the past. Well, we did in the past, we didn't think it would work out, but maybe there's some new ideas that came forward that would help guide us with respect to further investigation. So what we did last night, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at those, but I will touch on a few things that I'm learning along the way. We need to have a geotechnical investigation. In other words, we have to determine wherever the site is, what's the soil beneath it, whether it'll support a structure, whether there are water issues, etc. We also have to do a heritage investigation. And what's that? And little did I know, when the town bought the 320-acre development, they excavated, and I don't know if that's a shovel or it's a scoop shovel, 100 different sites on that 320 acres in order to try and determine whether there was any heritage value in that property. In other words, was there an indigenous community on that property 10,000 years ago? And I guess that's provincially mandated. You have to determine whether where you're going to build might interfere with something of historical value. So those are some of the things that we're going to have to go through wherever. I'm going to just jump over this map. So site 1, and I know it's hard to see, so we presented 4 possible sites. Site 1 is on Dominion Street, and probably more succinctly, it's where the chicken barns were. That property is currently owned by Bray Family Farms, and they have offered to donate a minimum of 5 acres and up to 8 acres to the new facility, which is a huge advantage when you're not having to buy property to start with. But there are some significant challenges with that site. Probably the most important is the sewer, water, and hydro costs, because that would involve the upgrading of the lift station for sewer, and these numbers are coming from the town of Neepawa. It's estimated approximately $1.5 million to get that site serviced. So you get the land free, but there's a pretty big cost involved. Site 2 is at the west end of the current curling rink. So it's probably hard to tell, but where it says curling rink is the current curling rink. On the west end of it and the north side is the footprint of what the arena in Burden would look like on that site. And for those of you that may not be familiar, Burden has one of the nicest arenas in Manitoba. I think it's got it's a bowl type arena, which automatically facilitates a walking track around the top. This site would also facilitate a hall and a commercial kitchen. The big advantage with this site is that water and sewer and hydro are, figuratively speaking, right there. The costs would be significantly lower. The downside is we don't know what we're building yet. Do we want just those 4 things, or do we want to include a daycare facility? Do we want to include maybe a double gym that would facilitate the gymnastics program and a basketball program? So, although it's very attractive, it's limited in its ability to be expanded to include more facilities within the building. Site 3 is within the new 320 development. So for those of you, that's what the town is calling it. I think that's what it's being commonly known as. And that's the property that the town of Neepawa bought, which is basically located between the water tower and the correction line, and not quite the 5 highway, but from the water tower west. So it takes up 320 acres of that. I guess that's a half section, 340? No, 320, yeah. So the town of Neepawa, they've already had a forum where they have presented to the community the first phase of that development, which includes, I think it's like 72 or something like that, building lots green space. There's no plans right now to include an event center, but that could be facilitated should that be the decision of our community. The fourth site, and although that's not very descriptive, that picture, it is two lots, 4.08 acres, located on the east side of This and That Manufacturing, their new plant, and Rocky Mountain Equipment, on the north side of that road. So the 4 acres would be not much different than the curling rink option, but all of the land from that property line north towards the old garbage dump is town-owned, and they have no plans on future development at this point in time. That would be the only option that would incorporate the curling rink, the golf course, and the Yellowhead, which is extremely attractive. However, there are some very, very significant hurdles to overcome in order to make that happen. First and foremost, that area is zoned heavy industrial. And under the current provincial regulations, you cannot build a recreational facility on property that is zoned heavy industrial. So we would have a huge hurdle to overcome going to the province and having, I don't know, a variation or having that changed or getting authority. That would be one hurdle. The second significant hurdle of that location is the garbage dump. And I'm sure we can all imagine that if you start digging in the garbage dump, you're going to come across some pretty nasty stuff. And the question is, how far do those toxins or chemicals or whatever leach through the ground laterally? So we may have issues getting permits to dig below the surface much farther than those 4 acres. And for that to work, the building would actually have to curl back in behind This and That Manufacturing on that land I just described, so that it would access the 15th tee box and the 16th the 15th green and the 16th tee box. Personally, I love that idea. I don't know if we can overcome that. One thing that did come out from last night, which I think our committee is going to pursue, is another alternate location, not being the south side of the current golf course parking lot. That option would allow all three to be involved. And so that you know, Brian Headley and myself met with Jason Young, of course, is the superintendent of the school district, and we had some discussions. Jason took it forward. The idea was turned down, and I think mainly because, the idea was to incorporate the event center with the new technical high school, so that there would be synergies there. One gymnasium facility, one food services area. The school could access the arena in the wintertime without going outside. The feedback that Brian and I got was the province wanted no part, I should say the province, the Department of Education wanted no part of expanding the building plan to include an arena or a curling rink, which I get. From a community perspective, I think it's a no-brainer, but from the political side of things, okay. From conversations last night, the idea came up, perhaps we can approach Dr. Zettler, who actually owns the land between the parking lot and the proposed technical high school. Strictly word of mouth, so I have no personal knowledge, just what I've heard via the grapevine, which is so dangerous, I admit, is that he's quite difficult to deal with when it comes to selling his property. But if we don't ask, we won't get an answer. So the idea is maybe we'll approach him, 5, 6, 7 acres. Would he miss that? I don't know. I don't know what his game plan is. But he's already given up or sold the land for the hospital and the high school. So that's something that came out of last night's process. So the other thing I really tried to emphasize last night was this is one step in the process. It's the first step. We got many steps to go through. I made the comment today. If 1 year from now we're at the stage of drafting a floor plan type of thing, I'd be pretty pleased. This is going to take a while. But that's sort of where we're at right now with respect to the initiative. Dave.
Great. How interested is the golf club in being part of the consortium or part of the group? And how interested is the curling club really? Are they sort of, okay, if that worked, or is this like they're keen, this is perfect for us?
Well, I would
What's
say
their attitude?
when we approached them right off the bat, both were enthusiastically involved in the committee. When the initial plan for the golf course was actually between this and that new retention pond to the west, along the 16th fairway. That land is no longer available. But if it was a tripartite thing, then there were definitely interest. And then Landon came back a while later and said, well, hold it, we're not quite sure because what do we do with the driving range and cart storage? Well, you're going to have a new driving range to the north of the building and towards the garbage stop. It's a matter of just mowing. And so and his feedback was that was acceptable, and that would also allow for some of the property over by the clubhouse to be used as a nursery, trees, etc., grass. So, sort of up to date last night, the golf course is quite interested in being part of this. I mean, if they could get a new clubhouse, a new pro shop, a new year-round restaurant, I mean, there's huge upsides for the golf course. With those significant hurdles, with the east side option, I think that's a big hill to climb. If we could interest Dr. Zettler, I think that is a no-brainer to get all three involved. Just 1 second, Rain. With reference to the curling rink, initially, yes, and then maybe not. Because their philosophy was that they're out of debt. They own the curling rink, they've got no debt, why would they go on and go back into debt for a new facility? And my point was, you're not going to go into debt at all. The new facility, the financial responsibility for the new facility is the new board, the new organizing committee, the new governance body. You still retain ownership of your curling rink building. You can repurpose it, you can sell the land, and now your curling club has got a significant number of dollars to help offset the cost of your programs. The same applies to the Yellowhead. This new thing goes ahead. The Yellowhead is going to be still owned by the community. We got to decide what we're going to do with it, but that's down the road. I think Rain first, Mike.
So one of the other questions that you asked last night was the question of, does the community want to go ahead with a new facility at all? What were the results of that one?
So we did, for those of you that have used visual aids in management styles, we used the dot, sticky dot. Became very, very visual also. We had one sheet that said yes, let's look at a new facility. We had one sheet that said no. The no sheet had 0 dots. Every single person in attendance who voted yes, let's keep going. Which I think is really crucial for our committee. If we don't have some kind of mandate from the community, we're spinning our tires. Now, that body last night, or that group last night, is not representative of our entire community, and that's still going to be a process that we have to figure out for more input, feedback, but at least it tells us the mindset of young and old is we do need to look at a new facility. Mike?
First of all, I want to say thank you to you guys that are putting so much time and effort into this. It's huge for the development of our town. I think the one inescapable fact is that the golf course is not going anywhere. And I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that if we could make use of that, I don't know that I like the idea of, like you say, the big hurdles down the way at the golf course. But there's quite a bit of property there with the parking lot and all of that. If Dr. Zettler would concede a few acres, and I mean, as far as the town's concerned, if you look at a lot in town, what does a lot cost to put a small house on, like a home?
Yeah.
Be 60,000 maybe? I don't know.
Well-
but so I mean, if you doubled that, and it would still be, say, let's say $100,000 to him for a few acres of land, or whatever it would be, it'd still be a deal.
Well, and I've already thought that process through in that the Yellowhead Center is a charitable organization. Make a donation to the Yellowhead, you'll get a tax receipt, and then we buy your land. But, I mean, it's your money, you're getting the tax advantage, but at least you're not just giving it away. Now, whether that's an option, again, that's up to him.
The other point I would like to make is that we have, do we call our hospital regional?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a regional hospital, we're going to have a regional school. And the nice thing about that is it draws people. There's no question that's going to happen. For example, that school, we're going to have kids coming from all over to take that technical training. So to have that facility right there is a huge advantage because my understanding is that gymnastics is a big thing currently at the Yellowhead.
It's by far the largest user of our facility.
So if you do that, you could even build a shed for all their equipment for not much money, because that's always a big issue. I'm very familiar with this. Gymnastics, right, is where do you store it? That could be part of it. And then what happens is a regional center for your hospital, for your school, gymnastics, all those things bring people from afar. You become a center for excellence, really.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have that all there together. And then, I mean, if I had lots of money, I'd be looking at having a Tim Hortons. Hear me out. But I mean, you got kids right there who are coming from Carver, wherever, right, to be there. Well, they don't want to sit in school and look at people like Bob Fiddleson or Dave Bennett. Perhaps Mike Boyle. But, you know, who would happily walk across there and go to a Tim Hortons. Most of those kids show up in the morning with Tim Hortons in their hand anyway to class. So you've got all that advantage. So you could have a Tim Hortons or something similar connected to it, just like hospitals often do. You know, those kinds of things inside. And the subway, there's my lunch and I'm good to go. The other side of it is, if we could put it where the current golf course is, if you could do that, you could also have a pretty decent restaurant looking out over the, like a lovely spot there. And so when you put that all together, that's a draw.
Yeah.
And the clubhouse is the oldest facility out of all three.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
like
So-
they
And
needed
the other
to-
thing, Mike, that we've certainly talked about is the logistics of a facility. If we can combine all three, and when I say three, I'm referring to the golf course, the curling rink, and the arena facility hall, arena hall, is you automatically eliminate the golf course every spring looking for employees and kitchen staff, and the curling rink every October looking for employees and kitchen staff.
And they aren't able to fly.
Right.
Yeah. So not only would it allow for the facility to have permanent year-round employees, it would also allow the organization to provide benefits and a pension plan. Right now, the Yellowhead has got basically 2 full-time employees. I mean, besides the fact that we're not rich, we can't afford a benefit program or a health care program. But a year-round facility would allow our community to do that.
And share ice plant.
Yes, and a combined ice plant. Don?
I was at that meeting, and I guess I was the one that brought up that, and I'm very glad that you're going to consider that. To me, the big advantage for it is that you can share or eliminate a lot of the costs that are already going into that site right now. The town is gonna spend a lot of money on roads and streets, which are already gonna be in there. The hospital and the school is gonna spend a lot of money on water, sewer, hydro, which you can piggyback onto already. And as Mike said, I think there's a huge advantage to sharing facilities, whether you attach a gym to it or not. And then the last big advantage is parking. Like a lot of these facilities need parking.
Yes.
Well, guess what? In the wintertime, the golf club doesn't need any parking, so the arena uses it. In the summertime, how many times does the arena get occupied? Maybe for a social or whatever. Summertime, then the golf club can use that parking lot. You get a beautiful paved parking lot with lighting and everything, and you can share all that stuff. For the amount that we would save in all those things, even if you have to spend maybe above the market value for a little bit of land from Mr. Sattler, it's far sooner going to come back to you. And then the clubhouse at the golf course, sure, it needs to be mowed down. If we have to take out 2 or 3 cart sheds, take them down. But there's just a huge advantage, as Mike said, you can't move the golf course.
Yeah.
So if you want to start combining some facilities, that to me is the only location compared to all
Yes,
those
yeah.
others.
I'm gonna have to cut you off, sorry about this, but you know what? This is great,
Yep, sorry.
because we have a meeting tomorrow night, and if you're wondering what you're gonna talk about, this is it, right? At the parties. You have 10 questions for tomorrow night, yeah. You're gonna be there,
Ooh.
right?
I think so. What am I doing?
Maybe you scare them off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
thank them.
Okay, I was gonna kick him out, you're gonna thank
No,
him.
I'll thank them. And Mike already really said a big thank you, so appreciate that. And I had one more question for him too, but I'll save it for tomorrow night. I'll try and say it loud enough so everybody hears it. We have a highways department issue to deal with on access on Commerce.
Now, when I first heard that they were considering getting a new facility and would include the golf course, the first thing I thought of was they're gonna build it right where the old parking lot is, well, where the current golf course parking lot is, and use that area right there. Well, if that's what happens, it turns out I was the smartest person. That's what I thought would make sense.